All right, founders, it is time for another pitch deck critique and review. And this one is going to be a short one for this startup called PetSmeet because we have some format challenges and we're missing a bunch of slides. But I wanted to make this video to point out one major problem. There's one major issue with this pitch deck, which I think we need to address first before I send it back to the founder and say, I need you to make these changes. If you are a founder out there and you want your own pitch deck critiqued and reviewed, stay till the end of this video. I'll explain how to get that done. Before we continue, my name is Ed Kang, seven-time founding founder with 2 exits. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Startups.com, oversee 600 founders, 4,000 alumni in our network. I've raised over $100 million for my startups, other people's startups, as well as startup funds, and I'm here to make these types of videos so you learn how to raise early-stage funding, especially that pre-seed seed. I love that stage, but I don't want you to make a lot of the mistakes that I've made in the past, as well as this founder has made a lot of mistakes. With that being said, let me just be very clear. Any founder that sends me their pitch deck, I say thank you so much and very courageous of you. It takes a courageous founder to get in front of someone with experience or put your pitch deck out there and say, hey, I'd like a critique. And that's the reason I want to use these pitch deck critiques and reviews to make all founders better. And I want to make sure that we use these opportunities to deep dive into topics and cover things that I don't necessarily cover in a lot of my other videos. And that's why for this one, I'm going to send back the pitch deck and say, you need to watch my ultimate pitch deck guide. I'm going to put this on the end of my video on the screen. It's the ultimate pitch deck guide for the basic videos because we need to learn how to do the basics. But like I said, there is a major issue with this pitch deck that we can all learn from together. And that's why I appreciate this founder. And that's the reason we're going to be jumping into this. While you're here, like, comment, subscribe. Always do the YouTube thing is very helpful. If you're part of Startups.com joining me, thank you so much for your support. If not, think about checking us out. Would appreciate it. Let's jump in. So first, right away, we are having an issue with clarity, and there's a lot of redundancy here on this cover slide. First, I've got this logo that says PetSmeet. It's super clear. Then I've got PetSmeet written out again here. We don't need to have this. Right away, find, scan, reunite. There are some issues here because I don't know what that means. This is a marketing slogan. You'd rather have just a straightforward, this is what we do. We help find pets by scanning their collars and reuniting with their owners, or we have a platform. But that's where the problem starts to occur because you're going to see in this deck, there's some confusion in what this startup does. For example, we get into adoption and adoption is not mentioned here. We get into pet care. Pet care is not mentioned here. So what we have is, I think we have a solution looking for a problem. Furthermore, this is very confusing. Next, Hostify, I have no idea what that is, what you're trying to promote. Is it a sponsor? Is it your company? So get rid of all this. This is okay right here. And that's what you want to do with the cover is make sure you take advantage and make it very clear versus clever, simplify it so you take advantage of the time so that you can pretty much say, this is what we do. This is our purpose. This is what we're all about right on the cover page. I know other decks tend to have additional slides that explain what you do, summarize. I just say use the main cover slide. Why not take advantage and be economical? Now we're going to get to the problem statement. And there are some fundamental issues that makes me believe that you haven't really watched or processed the information in my other videos, because the fact is this statement right here, or these words, process statement, are the largest. You should not have that. In fact, you should be making problem and it should be the same size as this, and just get rid of problem statement because I know this is a problem statement. And why are you using your biggest font to distract the investor and not convey some very critical message? And in every slide, I want to see one stark headline. That's what I want to see. If I don't see a stark headline, one, I know you haven't watched my other videos, and two, I know you're making it harder for the investors to understand. But let me point out, this is the biggest issue with this pitch deck, and hence it's going to be a very short review, and I'm going to send it back because you've got lost owners are heartbroken because they lose their pets. I get it. That's a big problem. I've had pets before. I've actually worked in a veterinarian hospital. I have veterinarians as startup founders that I advise. So I understand that this is a problem because traditional solutions are ineffective. They use flyers, social media, all those things. Okay, great. So I've got one problem right here, but check this out. Now I've got another problem. This is limited access to vet services, my second problem. And then I've got missed opportunities in adoption and I've got a third problem. So I have 1, 2, 3 distinct problems, and that's not going to cut it. And furthermore, if we continue along and I look at the solution, then what happens is it says we're going to solve all 3 problems. PetSmeet helps reunite owners with their lost pets. Okay, great. So we got this. And then educates owners, Access Vet Services, simplifies pet adoption, all in one platform. This is the big issue that I've got right here. And this further impacted by us understanding that you're trying to describe the additional solutions all here, and these are all different. You're providing NFC callers, and then your platform for administration, easy appointment scheduling, so access to pet care. Then you got education, it's like a portal. And then on top of it, another solution here, adoption. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 solutions, and that is simply not going to work. And let me explain why. I understand the draw of taking an industry that's fragmented and trying to bring it all together in one platform. But if the investor does not believe that you can actually solve the one problem or begin solving one problem, then they're not going to trust you with multiple problems. I see founders go in 2 directions. They either say a generic problem such as the environment is broken, finances are broken, cybersecurity is broken, and I'm going to go solve that with all these things that we do. The investor does not believe that you can solve that problem. One startup and one founder cannot solve the global warming crisis, can't solve the financial crisis. You can't do it. You can solve a part of that. You can solve a contributing factor, and that's what the investor wants to know, because they're not going to believe that, and therefore they're not going to believe that you can make money. Furthermore, you're not focusing yourself into where you can make money, and the investor is going to be worried that their check is going to be spread out around multiple buckets. Think of it this way. It's like going to one water source and taking a cup and filling it with water. Let's say you go to the river or you go to your tap and you fill it, and then you run over to a bunch of buckets, and there are like 4 buckets there, and you pour glass right in there and fill one bucket a little bit, and then you run back and then you fill the next bucket and then the next bucket, and you continue alternating through the buckets. How long does it take to fill all those buckets? You might as well try and fill one bucket right away and then allow the overflow to go into the other buckets. That's the way the investor wants to think. The second way that founders do this is they take a bunch of problems under one industry and they group them together and they say, we solve this, because all these problems fit under one umbrella. And those problems, yes, they're fragmented, but they're fragmented for a reason. They're fragmented in a way that one solution can't cover it, and the industry has been forced to create all those solutions. And that's what this pitch deck does, is it falls into the second bucket, and I'm letting you know an investor is not going to believe that you can solve the problem. Furthermore, I looked into this deck deeper, and it's true, I don't see any domain expertise. I don't see any reason that I believe that these founders are capable of solving this multifaceted, this problem with all these different appendages, all these different limbs and opportunities and issues and nuances and details. I don't believe it. And as soon as you have an investor say, I don't think that you can solve that problem, or that problem can be solved, well, you're going to have issues. You want the investor to say, okay, yeah, I get it. That's a big problem. They either resonate with it, or you've given them enough information for them to believe, you've given them that insight. Maybe you surprised them. I didn't know this was a problem. And then they have to be able to fathom that that solution is remotely possible. You might have a crazy way of solving it, something unique and contrarian, but if the investor can't put two and two together, then it's not going to work. And in this case, I don't believe that you can go solve pet care in the form of lost pets, which is completely different, to pet care in terms of getting access to veterinarians, to adoption. Those are 3 wildly different things, 3 wildly different types of customers that act differently, 3 wildly different parts of the industry with their own administration, their own mechanics. I just don't believe it. Now, let's just say that you have figured out a way to solve all those problems. Well, then you're going to have to come to me with traction. You're going to have to say to me, we figured out a really unique way to put all these 3 problems in one pipeline and figure out one solution for them and start something completely different. But when I went into your pitch deck, I don't see any product. I don't see any traction. I don't see anywhere where you've talked to customers, and I don't see a team that has the domain expertise. But all is not lost. There is a good foundation here that you can start with, and I'm going to explain what you need to do after we take a look at a few other slides on your pitch deck. So here's the market opportunity. So this is the issue, is you've got three markets that you're trying to put together and you're trying to make a case. This is not a market slide. Go watch my videos on creating TamSam SOM. 5.2% growth, reaching 30.77 billion is not your market. It's not the market because you want to explain how many customers times what you're going to charge equals your TAM, but you're fragmenting your market where I don't understand exactly how you're going to reach them. Next, business model. Here's the issue. You've got three business model slides. Slide 1 has business model, slide 2 has business model, and slide 3 has business model. Too many slides for the business model. You need to go back and simplify and follow my instructions. Go-to-market strategy. This is not a go-to-market strategy. This is a laundry list of 3 tactics as well as a big wall of text for each one that an investor is not going to read. Competition. Your competition is going to change drastically once you boil down the problem. This is too broad and further impacts my thinking in saying that you're not going to be able to compete on these 3 dimensions across these 3 problems. The team, as I said, not enough experience. I don't see anything here as far as pet care, lost pets, or pet adoption. I see 3 probably smart people who've got business experience. This is not going to work. And therefore, we're missing a key thing with traction. You got milestones in the future, what you want to do in Q1 2025, all the way to Q4 2025. And you're basically saying you're going to go from Q1, first month, 2025, and by the end of the year, you're building partnerships and you're building community. I don't believe it. These are not realistic milestones. So where do we go with this one? You need to go back to idea validation. Now, there is foundation here, and I would suggest that you validate which idea you want to work on and pick one. You're going to either work on lost pets, you're going to work on connecting pets to pet care or their owners to veterinarian services, or adoption. Figure out which one you're going to solve. Do an idea validation process, which incorporates an idea validation deck where you do an elevator pitch and you figure out with your team which one can we solve the easiest. Your traction has to be across 3 different dimensions. State of the product, and that's okay if you just started and you're just going out there and you're wireframing it and you're conceptualizing it. 2, have you talked to real users? I don't see anywhere in this deck where you've talked to real users and you said, do you think that this 3-pronged solution is going to work? Can we solve everything on one platform? I doubt that that's happening. Prove me wrong. Maybe I am wrong and I've made some assumptions. Well, get me that data. It's not in this pitch deck, so I'm going to believe that it doesn't exist. And finally, there needs to be some type of growth metric where you're increasing the number of interviews or you're increasing the people on your wait list. Figure that out. But it looks like a young team that you kind of come together and said, hey, let's try and figure out if we can be a startup team. And that's great. Go for it. I want to encourage you, but you have to understand how startups work and that you start off with idea validation. And like I said, watch my other videos, especially my idea validation deck videos that are going to explain to you how to present this properly. And this should be a warning or a notice to all you other founders out there. If you're trying to solve too many problems, too many concepts in your problem and solution, it's not going to work. Investors aren't going to be interested because startups are fundamentally hard. Not to mention that I know multiple startups who have raised millions of dollars trying to solve those 3 problems right here on this pitch deck. So if we've got founders that have raised millions of dollars still can't solve, they're not going unicorn, they're not cornering the market, they haven't dominated those 3 problems individually, why would an investor think that you can dominate all 3 at the same time? It's just not feasible. Again, I appreciate you, founder, putting yourself out there and getting back to me. For the rest of you founders out there, if you want your pitch deck critiqued and reviewed, leave a comment and let me know. And I'm going to explain to you very clearly how you can connect with me. And then you're going to get instructions of what you need to do to qualify for a pitch deck critique and review, because I need you to follow this process so we can spend some time deep diving into things that aren't common or that everybody can't just get by watching other videos. I want to get into interesting startup pitch deck cases, case studies, scenarios to help founders out there to go, oh yeah, that's me, or I never knew that watching all the generic videos out there. We need to work together on that one. So I appreciate all of you hanging out with me. Watch some of these other videos on the screen, especially my ultimate pitch deck guide for the basics of pitch deck. And then I've got a whole other playlist of the startup critiques and reviews that I've got there. Watch those videos and learn, and then contact me if you want your pitch deck critiqued and reviewed. Thanks for hanging out in this video. I will see you in the next one.